Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode here in NHL 23. So in last episode, we had an interesting offseason. We let go of obviously a couple players like Coley Minen, Trey Farrell. We did bring back Byron Farrell because I decided we needed him for our offensive core. We also let go of Nasir Kassian, but our team still looks pretty good on paper. And before I end up recording this episode, I actually changed our coaches over because we did run into a little bit of chemistry issues with our lineup at the end of last episode because we have so many offensive defensemen, it's actually ridiculous. But I decided to promote Joe Thornton to our head coach, and as you can see, our offense doesn't have as much chemistry as it did with the other coach, but the defensive core is back to the way it should be, which is good. So yeah, basically we have 5 OFDs on our defensive core and only one two-way defender. Does that mean we're going to give up a ton of goals this season? Possibly. Does that mean we're going to be a really good offensive team? Also possibly. Because this offensive core still looks pretty good. Like, Bobkov jumping up to the NHL is huge for our team. He was a former 6th round pick. And this guy should drive the offense a lot based on that 95 passing and 88 offensive awareness. So excited to see what he does in his rookie season. And yeah, the rest of the team just looks really good on paper still. Like, we have Parrott still, we got Keith, Hartnell, that type of thing. Keith is on the last year of his contract, so I think I'm already going to give him an extension, which some people might be like, why are you going to already give him an extension? Well, Derek Keith might be my favorite player in this series, other than Parrott. Because this guy wins a lot of faceoffs. He's been good at times picking up points, very good defensively. Yeah, he's a really, really solid player, so I think I'm going to give him an 8-year extension already. And we also are going to be running youngster Kari Koskaranta as our backup this season. Obviously, we can't take a look at what these guys look like because the game is currently broken in the edit player screen, which sucks, but it is what it is. So yeah, Koskarana and Taze, both of them will get probably like 10, or well, I'd say we'll assimilate like a little bit with each of them and just see who does better during the season, and whoever's the better of the two will be our backup for the start of the playoffs, obviously, if we get there. And if one of them is really good, maybe they'll take over as the starting role in the playoffs. Depends on who is doing really well and whatnot, because Cox has been an interesting goalie, so I don't really know if Cox is the type of guy we're going to be running in the playoffs if we get there this year, but I think we honestly should with this offensive core. It's probably just as good as it was last year. The defensive core definitely took a hit, and it's going to be very weird to run 5 OFDs. Like, I don't think I've ever tried doing that before, so it's kind of like a little test run to see if this team actually could do good despite not having a single defenseman and barely any two-way defenders. Like, it is kind of ridiculous to run that many offensive defensemen, but maybe it will pump up the offense for this team, which will be a good thing. Like, Denny last year had a really good year in the AHL, so expecting some big things from that guy from the back end. Let me also take a look quickly. What was the other thing I was going to do to start this episode? Oh, yeah, take a look at where our former players signed. So we got to take a look at where Coley Minen signed, as well as Trey Farrell and Nasir Kassian. I am curious on where those guys went because they weren't still in free agency. But definitely got to take a look at where these guys signed just to kind of make it a little bit more of a story to this franchise mode. So Nasir Kassian signed with the Seattle Kraken. He actually still has trade value, which I don't understand why, but he's still 77 overall at 28. He's getting a 2-year deal there. Good for him. And it's a one-way deal. I was actually really close to bringing this guy back, but maybe he has trade value just because of those X factors. Oh, yeah, it's probably because of those X factors, because he's not a huge offensive guy, but he was okay in the playoffs last year for us, but it does suck that we lost out on him, but he does go to the Seattle Kraken. The next player we're going to look at is Trey Farrell. At least we brought back Byron Farrell because Byron Farrell is the better of the two Farrells. Trey was asking for like $6 million as a 79, so it's not really worth it. He signed with the Florida Panthers for $3.36 for 1 year. I would have been probably willing to do that, but the thing is we needed to save up that cap space for some guys like Derek Keith, who's going to be up this coming off season. And yeah, we only have like 13 million in cap space, so we'd be down to 10 million if we were to actually re-sign this guy. But he's now a Florida Panther. So there you go on Trey Farrell. And the last player to look up is the most important one, that being none other than Cole A. Minen. Which really sucks to lose this guy, because this guy was so good for us for many years, but his asking price, astronomical. And he signed with the Boston Bruins. So we won't have to see him that much, which is good, but that's interesting. He signs with a different Coley Minen who's in the AHL system for Boston, so maybe that's his younger brother, who knows. But 7 by 17 million. Holy crap. I would never pay him that much. Never. $17 million is ridiculous. Wow. Okay, Boston, 7 years as well. They might regret that soon, because that's going to put them into internal cap hell probably. But 7 by $17 million. Oh, well, best of luck there, Essa in Boston. I really hope that you live up to that contract for them, because or else they are going to be screaming. And they're going to probably buy you out or something. Who knows? Jeez. Was not expecting a 7-year deal at $17 million for him, but it is what it is. Let's give Derek Keith already his extension, because, like I said, he's an important piece to this team. Because if we lose out on him, yeah, that wouldn't be good. Hartnell at least still has an RFA status for another year, but look at the offseason ahead of us. We might end up losing some big players this coming year. Like, this might be our last chance. Because Zikov is a pending UFA, Harakala, Wong. We still got a lot of RFAs, which is good, but it's not a lot of leeway in terms of contracts. Ooh, you want 16.6 for 8 years, Derek? Come on, man. I got to do the 85% trick, so let me open up the calculator. But, oh, man. Yeah, this might be an expensive player, but I think he's worth it in a sense. He's only 27 as well, so you got to figure that he's not that old yet. Because, I mean, for instance, I'm almost 27. A few months. 16.6. And we divide that by, or times that by 85%. God damn it. Can't do math in the morning here. 85%. We might be able to get him down to 14.110. That's still a lot of money, but I think it is worth it, and we need to try and sign these guys up long term. So we'll do this 14 by 1.1825 for 8 years for Derek Keith. Because obviously, if we keep him around, him and Parrott at least will produce a lot, but the amount of players we might lose next offseason is kind of scary, at least some of the top guys. Yeah, and Cox is probably gone at the end of the season, to be honest, because I think Koskinen and Taves would be a better goaltending duo. But we'll see what ends up happening. Okay, so that's that. Let's sim to the start of the preseason and see if Derek Keith accepts that, which he should. Yeah, there we go. So Derek Keith has been re-signed for another 8 seasons. Very excited for that. But yeah, let's get to the start of the regular season. Let's actually go through the preseason first just to see who leads us in points. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this team does this year. The amount of OFDs, it makes me really question how bad our defensive play is going to be this year. But I think we're going to be a really good offensive team. So at least there's kind of benefits to both sides. 5-2-1 in the preseason. 12 assists in 8 games and no goals for Derek Keith. So at least he picked up points, but no goals in those 8 games in the preseason. Maybe he was just trying to set up a bunch of the young guys. Like I said, I am very excited to see what Bobkov does this year, because him being a low lead and having 95 passing, that could be very huge for this team. Like, if he develops a lot, he might be the future of the top 6. Is he getting power play time out of curiosity? I want to make sure some of these guys are getting power play time. Bobkov is not getting power play time, but I think I'm going to take LaRose off the power play and put Bobkov there instead. Just because I know he could pick up the offense, so yeah, I think I'll run with that. That looks good. So we'll see if Bobkov can pick up some assists with some power play time and some third line time. But yeah, this guy might be a future top 6er that replaces Hartnell if we lose Hartnell at some point. So yeah, that will be exciting. That will be exciting. I'll see 2 different players though, because Hartnell is more of a goal scorer, and it seems like Bobkov's maybe more of a playmaker, but we'll see if that ends up being the case. But here we go, the first season with Joe Thornton as our head coach. Let's go to January the 1st, and then we'll give Taze the rest of the half of the season. Yeah, just because Koskinen, I want to see how much as possible as him as the backup. And like I said, we'll give Taze the second half of the season, since he's the veteran half of the goaltender. And then we'll see who ends up becoming the backup goalie for the start of the playoffs and who's going to get the most chances in the playoffs. out of the goaltenders. If Cox is the worst goalie of the three, I honestly might run the other two. Because Cox, I still don't trust Cox at all in terms of a lot of things. Like, he definitely lost my trust giving up a shorthanded goal, you know. Oh, that's not a good start. 0-3. 0-4. There's a win, though, at least. There's a win, too. There's a loss again. There's another loss. Jeez, we're off to a really bad start. It's all these OFDs, right? Okay, I got to stop the simulation. We're 3-9. That's our worst start in quite some time, but we're still picking up points. It's just, it's probably the amount of OFDs we have, right? Or something. Like, we're just too offensively minded. I don't really know what we could do. Savonin is a DFD. I could call him up always and then just scratch Eichel. So that way we at least have a defensive defenseman in. I might honestly do that. Eichel's got 2 goals and -5. Yeah, I feel like we're running too much offensive defenseman. I'm going to leave Eichel as a depth defender, but I am going to call up Savonin from the AHL, since he's one of the only defenders I can call up, just to give us a DFD in the NHL, because I feel like it's kind of a big risk having that many offensive defensemen. Like, they're probably all jumping up and can't get back, you know, that type of thing. So, yeah, we'll take Eichel out, and we'll put in Savonin. And we'll see what this 74 overall defender could do. Just see if he helps out our defensive play a little bit. I just don't want to run so many offensive defensemen. I feel like it's definitely setting us up for failure because our team looks good on paper. It's just the amount of OFDs is probably going to bite us. Unless for some reason Koskinen is doing a really bad job as the backup. Or Cox is just not doing good. But we'll see if this team can get back to 500 again after that rough start. But if we end up playing like this and missing the playoffs, goddamn. We're starting to win a lot more games than we were losing, but still a below 500 record is not great. We do beat Boston in Koivuninen's arena, which is nice. Yeah, we're getting back to 500. Okay, starting to win some games here, but still below 500, which is not great. Okay, almost 500 now. No, just below still. And there we go. We're back to 500 hockey, and then we lose the next game, of course, and the next one after that. So 16, 18, and 1. Not great. What does the last wildcard spot have for playoffs in the Western Conference? The last wildcard spot's at 40 points. We're at 33. There's a chance we could miss the playoffs this year at this rate, which is kind of concerning. Derek Keith is over point per game, which is nice, but I don't really know what the problem is. It's probably the offensive defenseman, or maybe Joe Thornton's just not a great coach. I don't really know. Let's swap Claxton and Farrell, because why not? Let's also try Danner into the top 4. Or, not Danner into the top 4. Savonin into the top 4. And put Danner down to the top 6, I think. Yeah, we'll try that out. Why not? And how has Koskinen done his backup? He has been doing pretty good. A 911 save percentage and a 236. So is it Cox that's not doing good? It is. Yeah, Cox is going to get scratched the rest of the season. I have had enough with this guy. An 880 save percentage on this team is terrible when Koskinen, who's like a little bit lower overall wise, has a way better stat line. I'm going to run Koskinen and Taze the rest of the year. I'm not happy with Cox at all. I am not happy with him at all. Maybe it's because Cox is getting a lot more playing time with all the offensive defensemen in front of him, but still an 880 save percentage. And then a youngster behind him has a 911. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. So we'll run Taze and Koskinen the rest of the year and see if we can get to the playoffs. But this team might miss the playoffs, and then everybody on this team is going to want to leave. But our window might have closed right in front of our face right there. We'll see if we're able to win some more games here with the change in goaltenders. There's 3 wins in a row, 4 wins in a row, okay. And then we lose, of course. But that's a huge 4-game winning streak to help us get back into the mix, potentially. Because if we get back into the mix, who knows what could happen. Our offense is definitely really good this season, but is our defensive play that good? We had a really good month there. 27, 20, and 1 now all of a sudden. We won 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of our games and only lost 2. So that's huge. And now we are all of a sudden second best in the Pacific Division and in a playoff spot. Jorgensen is over point per game at his age, which is awesome. So maybe Cox was the problem. Maybe Cox was the problem. I think he's definitely gone at the end of the season because of his cap hit and all that stuff. Apparently my batteries are low, so they might randomly just die on me soon. But this team hopefully is turning it around, and we might be a playoff team now if we continue on the trend we just had. So let's go to the 28th and see if we can keep on winning some games after that great month. And we get a win, a shootout loss, which at least is a point. Not too bad. We do lose to Boston in Koivumainen's return to Anchorage. So that's interesting. Yeah, we're definitely doing a lot better since changing goalies, but obviously our defensive play is still not the best, but the offensive level on this team is really good. 34, 24, and 4, still in the playoff spot. Keith is at 71 points this year in 62 games. Yeah, but we're relying heavily probably on our top 6, I'm guessing. Or maybe our power play unit, who knows. But last wildcard is at 70 points. Closest team that's outside of the playoffs is at 66. So we're in a pretty good spot right now. We just got to keep on winning the rest of the season. But it's been a really weird year. Starting the year off really badly, making a goalie change to technically a worse goaltending duo. But it seems like Taze and Coscarano at least are getting us some W's. So let's go to a day before the deadline. And we get a win and a loss. Not bad. Not bad at all. Let's take a look if there's any AI trades, just in case any former players are involved in any trades, because I'm curious on that front. But other than that, don't care too much about the trades that the AI makes. But I just want to see if any former players are getting flipped around. We do lose on the deadline to Edmonton 2-1. And yeah, we're still in the playoff spot by 4 points. But we do have 2 more games played than the Coyotes, which is a bit iffy. So that's weird. Let's take a look and see if there is any interesting trades to look at. Let's see. We're looking for former players. Anybody else I don't really care about too much. If you guys see anything that you would be surprised about, you can always let me know in the comments. But oh, look, wait, that's our former Festerini. He gets traded to the New York Islanders, the team that just beat us in the Cup Finals last year. Yeah, that's our former Festerini, because I remember he was in Florida. And now he's a member of the former Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders. Interesting. Jack Eichel got traded from Vegas to St. Louis. So at least we won't have to... I guess Vegas must be imploding. Which is good, because we won't have to play them much in the playoffs ever again. Because I am very sick of that team. Kirby Dach went back to Chicago. That's actually kind of funny. And other than that, there's nothing else that I really think I should bring up. So Festerini is now with the Islanders, huh? I'm pretty sure that's our former one. Let me take a look just to make sure. Well, that's interesting. Let's see. Bryson Festerini. Yep, that's our former boy. How's he doing this year? He had 2 assists in his debut with the Islanders. Not bad. Was traded like around deadline day and boom. He's not been as good since he left us, but still good to see him still kicking around. He's probably close to retirement, though. Already at 32. But I wouldn't say he's a channel legend, but he's at least like kind of somebody that people will know about when they see him. So there's that. Let's assimilate the rest of the season and see if we make the playoffs. Obviously, we got to be wary about Arizona. So let's take it a little bit slow. Let's go to the 21st and see if we can get some more wins here. 3-1 win, nice. 2-0 win, nice defensive games, like it. 1-0 loss, still good defensive game. Yeah, I like the way our team is simulating this year. Joe Thornton has definitely been a good coach for us. And yeah, we're up at 82 points. Let's keep on rolling. We'll go to the 1st of April. See how we do in these 5 games to end this month. There's a win, there's a shootout loss, a loss, another loss in overtime, and a 4-3 win. And we got 5 games left on the season. 5 games left on the season. Keith is at 81 points in 77 games. So that's why I'm glad I locked him up. We have not clinched a playoff spot yet. The last wildcard spot has 86 points. And there is a team that's outside of the playoffs right now, which is the Canucks with 84. That's kind of scary. They're 1 game back of us as well. So they could be technically at 86 points in the same amount of games. This actually might come down to the wire in terms of who makes the playoffs. We got to have a good stretch here. We cannot slack off for a little bit. So let's do 2 games at a time. Toronto and Seattle. Come on, give me 2 W's at least. A loss and a win. I mean, a win at least we got in one of them, but that loss against Toronto is not great. 90 points now. The last 2 wildcard spots have 88 points, and the Avs are outside of the playoffs with 87 points. But they could technically be at like 89 points in like the same amount of games played as us. Wow, and the Oilers haven't even clinched yet. Yeah, this is coming down right down to the wire. One of these teams is going to end up missing the playoffs. Let's do the game against Detroit. Come on, boys. Get me to W or get me at least a point. There you go. There's a nice win. That's a huge win. Let's go up to this game against Montreal. And did we clinch yet? No, we did not. Oh, man. I am scared that we're just going to randomly miss somehow. 92 points in 80 games. The last wildcard spot has 90 points. The Avs have 89 points and they're outside of the playoffs. Yeah, this is coming down to the wire. If we get a win here, I think we clinch, though, which is good. Come on, guys. Just beat the Montreal Canadiens here, and then we have to play Vegas, of course, to end off the season. And we win 5-3. That is a huge win, and it does clinch us a playoff spot, so I don't really care too much about the result against Vegas. We lost that one, too, but we do make the playoffs with a 44-32-6 record, did I say? Yeah, okay, nice. And the Avs were the ones that missed the playoffs with 91 points, only 1 point back of the Calgary Flames. Wow, that's a really tight race there. The Golden Knights also missed the playoffs, which is awesome to see, but they missed out by 4 points. But still, Vegas misses the playoffs. They got rid of Jack Eichel as well. It is all good here, and we are pretty happy about that. Hopefully we don't ever have to face them in the playoffs again, since we don't have a lot of years left. Let's take a look at these player stats. Actually, not player stats first. I didn't want to take a look at that. I want to take a look at team stats first. So if you caught any glimpses of that, do not pause the video. Let's take a look at where we finished. So Anaheim was number 1 in the league. Interesting. We were the 11th best team in the NHL, which is pretty good. We were the best offensive team in the NHL. That's pretty impressive considering we let go of Coley Minen, but it also makes sense with the amount of OFDs. So that's interesting. Goals against per game wise, we were mid-table. Yeah, mid-table defensively, which I would say is okay considering we have a lot of OFDs and not a lot of shutdown guys. Power play percentage was not that great. So we were the best offensive team, but our power play wasn't good. Penalty kill, 81.4, which is not great, really, it looks like. Yeah, we didn't have really great special teams this year, but that might be a side effect of having Joe Thornton as our head coach. We did have 12 short-handed goals this year, though, which is tied with the Montreal Canadiens for the most in the entire league. 21-16-4 on home ice, 23-16-2 on the road, and 5-3-2 in our last 10 games. Not bad. Let's take a look at these player stats now, though. See who did what. Since we are the best offensive team, we should have some good depth scoring here. So Derek Keith, 84 points in 82 games. Pretty good and plus 23. Yeah, I really like this guy still. Like, look at his plus minus is pretty good. He's pretty solid offensively as well. That was a career high in goals, so that's also good to see. What about his faceoffs and takeaways? Is he going to be up there for potential Selke candidate? 55.3, so around similar as last year, and 149 takeaways. There is a chance Derek Keith could win a Selke this year, which would be great, considering we just gave him an 8-year extension. So we'll see if he's going to be the Selke, unanimous Selke candidate this season. Parrott at 72 points this year, 38 goals. A little bit of regression from Avery Parrott, but since his 106-point season and his 62 goals. But still, this guy's really good. This was the lowest amount of goals he's scored, though, since 2030-31. But still, really solid player. Might end up being one of my best goal scorers of all time at some stage. So there's Parrott. Ricardo Hartnell, 65 points and a plus 33, not bad. I really like Ricardo Hartnell. Sucks that he's also pending RFA again. Or well, it doesn't suck that he's a pending RFA, but it does suck that he's going to be a UFA potentially soon. He doesn't look like he got any power play time, so I'm going to have to put him back on the power play. I guess I didn't put him on the power play like I did last year. Farrell, 63 points, fantastic. That's why I re-signed this guy for a few years, to give us more offense. Claxton, 53 points is really good. Claxton's still really, really solid. He's only got one more season left on that $1.5 million we gave him so many years ago. And I think we definitely need to try and keep him around. Pretty solid player. Larry Wong, 36 points, 24 goals, not bad. Still some regression from his 50-something points he had a few years ago, but still pretty good. And of course my controller died, so I got to change my battery. Sorry about that if you heard a loud noise while I'm talking, because obviously I saw the audio peak quite a bit when that happened. So, and hopefully that didn't screw up my voice audio. Test, 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 you know. But you got to change these batteries up and see what the rest of these guys finished up with. But looks pretty good so far, depth scoring wise. It's just I'm kind of concerned playoff wise, because playoffs are always a different animal, because somebody could just randomly not perform. Looks like we are very not undisciplined in a sense with these centers, though. Like Derek Heath had 83 points, or 83 penalty minutes, not 83 points, almost 83 points actually, or a little bit more than that. But like Wong had 63 penalty minutes, Hartnell had 53, so we're a bit of a physical team. Reinhardt had 25 points, not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah, he's a consistent 25-point guy for these first 2 years in the NHL. I'll take that. Hopefully he has a good playoffs again, though. He was really solid last year, so. Left wing wise, Darby hit 61 points and 33 goals. Not too bad. Still glad that I have this guy locked up for how many years? 6 more seasons, or 5 more seasons technically. Bobkov had 38 points in his rookie season. Was a -10, but still not bad. He's up to an 81. Yeah, this guy's one of the players of the future for sure. He's got 1 more year left on his ELC. Jorgensen, 77 points, so is impressive at 32. He is dropping off, though, which makes me feel like he's close to retirement. Which, if he retires at 35, that would really suck. But he has been a really great player. Most of his career, he's not had a low amount of points, except for this 57-point season randomly. But still, I really like Jorgensen. He's our captain. I think he is getting close to retirement. He might retire before that contract runs out. LaRose, 21 points, not bad. Vandenbush, 19, not bad. And a +5 on the 4th line, I'll take it. Defensively, Zykov, since his contract comes to an end this year, he decided to have a really good season. 69 points. Maybe a Norris Trophy winning defenseman here. And yeah, if he demands a ton of money this offseason, he might be gone, which I don't really want that to be the case. But obviously, I don't want to overpay on him a ton, like what happened with Coley Minen in Boston. But yeah, 69 points. He honestly might be a Norris winner. Depends if there's any like 70-point defenders out there, though. Hirakawa had 51 points as well, and a +29. He also would be probably up there for a Norris if he was not behind Zykov. But he's also, I believe, pending UFAs, so I'm kind of miffed about that. Danner, 35 points, pretty solid. Bouwmeester, 24 points, pretty solid. Denny, 16 points in his rookie season and a +16. Not bad at all. He had a really good year in the AHL last year, but his offense is not as good as I thought. But maybe with some power play time, it would help. And Savonin, the DFD that we brought in, definitely played much better defensively than Eichel did. So, even though he's only a 74, he's doing his job. And goalie-wise, yeah, Cox was the worst of the 3. I'm glad I scratched him. Koskarena took over the starting role. Him and Taves had the exact same save percentage. Koskarena had the better goals against. So I think... yeah, I think I'll run Koskarena playoff-wise. But Taves is a close second. Cox probably won't go into the lineup unless one of these 2 goalies does really bad. Or both of them play really bad. Just because... yeah, that 880 is absolutely terrible. I don't know what's with Cox, but he's not an elite goaltender by any means. So there you go. Let's take a look at the entire league. The best offensive player was Rory Mangone, who we've seen multiple times. He was with Vegas, and now he is in Nashville. So Nashville gets a 71 goal score. Jeez, I didn't realize he had that much. But yeah, Vegas is definitely falling apart, which is good for us. Misa was also up there, so it looks like Nashville has the best top line in the NHL, apparently. Let's see what we got here. Best goal scorer, yeah, Mangone, not a surprise. Not a surprise with its 71 goals. Damn, that Daniel DeRocher guy that was a 7th round pick is still scoring a ton of goals. Has another 50-goal season. This guy might be one of the best 7th round steals I've seen the AI get. So there is player stats for that. Let's take a look at the Selke candidates. Takeaways. Keith was second in takeaways, and Nieminen might win it because of that 56.6% on faceoffs. Or are they going to give it to Keith because of the amount of takeaways? I think they're probably going to give it to Nieminen again. If Nieminen wasn't in this franchise mode, Keith would probably have multiple Selkies by now. Keith also had 6 fights this year. God damn. Wasn't expecting Keith to be that much of a fighter, but guess he is. Not bad on that front. Defensively, did Zykov win a Norris? Probably not. Better plus minus than Byram, but 5 less points. So Bowen Byram probably is going to win the Norris, but Zykov very close to winning a Norris right there. And Eslakolimainen, our former defenseman, also very close to winning a Norris. 58 points from him in his first season in Boston with a plus 23. Interesting. Best goaltender, Jelkinen, Ekblad, and Hornqvist with 40 wins. Best save percentage by a starter, Nicholas with a 918. And best goals against average by a starter, Nicholas with a 249. Well, Harry Neal is up there as well as a backup. Back with the Islanders again, so he re-signed with the New York Islanders on a very cheap contract. Yeah, more than likely Nicholas is going to win a Vezina. Best rookie this season, Denis Pepin, and with 58 points in Toronto. Interesting. So there's that. Bobkov is all the way down here with 38 points. Not bad. So there is that. Let's take a look at who we're facing in the first round, and then that'll be it for this episode. Like I said, more than likely playoff episodes will get pre-recorded as usual. But yeah, I'm excited to see what this team could do playoff-wise. We're going to be taking on Vancouver in the first round, which I believe is who we took on last year in the first round. Yeah, I think it was. So this might be back-to-back years where we've had to face the Canucks. Well, let's take a look at what they're made of. I know they have Magnuson still, right? Yeah, they still have that top line of Ulf Magnuson. This guy is ridiculous. He had another 50-goal season this year. Yeah, he's a really good player. And they also have Bill Foy, Roman Hudler. Second line, Nathan Gauthier, Connor McDavid's in Vancouver at 40 years old. Didn't we play him recently in the playoffs or no? Oh, yeah, last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. That's why I remember him. Pierce Dolan's also there. That's a pretty solid top 6, but then this bottom 6, oof. Lionel Chipchura, Chris Popovic, and Dmitry Leeson. Simon Knack, Taro Kotkinen, and Juha Aaltonen. Yeah, that bottom 6 is not great. I mean, Aaltonen and Kotkinen are decent, but yeah, it's not great. Defensive core also not very great, as Quinn Hughes is dropping off a lot. Wallinder and Kong, Dembski and Quinn Hughes at 37, who's now down to an 80 overall, probably going to retire this year. Carl Jung and Helge Grans. And goaltending-wise, they have Ricard Kuparainen and Hugo Allenfelt. Interesting. And depth-wise, they have Delandria, Cunningham, and Lee Lankow. I think we definitely have the better team. It's just about if we're actually able to play good defensive hockey because we got so many OFDs, I think. How did they play during the regular season compared to us? That's the one last thing I want to check. Just because I'm curious if they had a better goals against or anything like that. So we had the exact same amount of points, the exact same record. We had more ROW, which is interesting. Goals for per game. We were the better offensive team. They were the better defensive team. Makes sense. They were better on the power play. And they were better on the penalty kill. So they had better special teams and were better defensively. But we were the better offensive team in the regular season. I mean, we're going to be better offensively than every team in the league in the regular season. Except for, well, Anaheim's very close, but still. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Anchorage Ice Tigers Draft to Glory franchise mode. So in next episode, we will take it to round 1 against the Vancouver Canucks as we look to get back on track and get to that Stanley Cup Finals again. Obviously, it's going to suck if we don't even get past this first round, but this team is starting to have the window very slowly close on it, and this might be one of our last chances at winning the Stanley Cup. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.